friends, today I'm super excited to start something new with this channel. I wanted to introduce you to Paperdag Papertalk. And this is the very first episode, and I want to start by telling you that I've been so inspired, for one, by a friend who lives in Germany and started journaling and writing with fountain pens. But also she introduced me to a beautiful YouTube channel which is called Adventure Denali. I have watched a lot of the episodes, which are kind of short, which I will not manage this time, but hopefully in the future. I mean, to keep it short, but I want to talk to you about my love for paper, my love for fountain pens, and I wanted to introduce you to what I use, what I write with, why I write, and yes, what kind of books I use. I have been in love with fountain pens for a very long time. I started collecting them in my 20s, and I shopped a lot where I could get them affordable at thrift stores, at flea markets, and that was really fun to hunt for those affordable treasures. I have always loved writing letters until I had kids. When you have small kids, you are tired when the kids are asleep, and when your kids are not asleep, you're very busy. When the kids are in school, you have a lot of other stuff to do and to take care of. So all that wasn't happening too much. The relationship with my husband has a lot to do with the fact that we had been pen friends for many years. We first met in Würzburg, where he was in the army and I went to college. And when he went back to the States, we wrote letters, long ones, for a few years. Then we were out of touch for 7 years, which was my fault because I quit writing. But then when I was living in Hamburg, I got back in touch with him. I sent a letter to his hometown address where he didn't live anymore. I was curious to see what he was doing and how his life had turned out. And his sisters sent him the letter to Ohio, where he lived at the time, and we started writing letters again, and so that's very dear to me. And I also had a friend in Munich. She had been in college with me for a year, and then she transferred, and when she left, we also started writing very long letters, which hers I still all have. Yes, and so this is, for me, writing has a lot to do with writing letters, but also with my love for paper, with my love for fountain pens. After we got married, my husband gave me some beautiful pens. And just now, for birthday is Christmas, and just now I have rearranged my desk to make it more writing friendly. I have a showcase with fountain pens on my desk, and I have a little tray where I keep my pens that are inked up, and currently those are, I think I've inked up 5 fountain pens. I wanted to show them to you now before I show you my journals, my notebooks that I'm using right now, as well as my notebook covers. And I've had a little bit of trouble with being in focus, so I hope it's all going to work out with this setup today. If not, there's always room for improvement, and I hope this is going to work out, and I hope you're going to enjoy it as well as the yarn and the knitting videos. Let me grab those pens that I brought today, and let me also grab a sheet of paper. So these are the pens that I have currently inked up, and it's kind of funny because I'm telling you, you start off with 2 fountain pens and then you're like, I forgot about this one, let's put in some ink. And so I've been adding inked up fountain pens to the ones I'm using currently probably every day, 1 or 2 more, which is fine, doesn't matter. But I wanted to introduce you to this current selection. And let me rearrange and put some paper here. I love the Rhodia because it's extremely smooth for writing with a fountain pen. So this is my little Kaweco Sport, and at another time I am hoping to show you more Kawecos because I have a small collection of vintage German Kawecos which I really love. The nib of this little guy is a double B. Really beautiful, smooth writing. Love it. And have I told you that we're going to be taking off on a trip? So I'm currently debating to take all of these pens, which is kind of crazy, but whatever. So this is a demonstrator pen, a mini TWSBI. Does anybody know what these letters are standing for? I have inked this up with the Noodler's Ink Cactus Fruit, which is a gorgeous color. And I am actually not sure what the correct term for this wide nib is. I love to test these with my signature because it kind of scribbles in all directions. So that's kind of neat to see how that works. This is a treasure that I have also rediscovered recently. I have no clue where this comes from. It's a vintage Matador with a gold nib. Actually a Matador click, I think it says. Yes, because it's not a screw on top. And it writes perfectly. Very smooth. Love, love, love. Click, as the name says.
This is a pelican. I do not know how old it is. I do not know the specific name of it. It is what's called, I think it's called a rolled gold. Rolled gold. Does that mean it's gold plated? Don't know. It's like a school pen, but a little bit more fancy. And can't see anything written on the nib. I would guess it's maybe from the 70s. Tell me if you know. Also doesn't screw on. This was a dear letter writing pen of mine, which I rediscovered. Broad nib. Nothing fancy, probably a school one. Pump interior. And the brand is called Faber-Castell. So here's a problem with this guy, and I am not sure how to solve this problem. Sometimes I have to open it, and because the suction, after I've written a little bit, the ink flow is not good. Okay, let's try this again. I do want to show you how smoothly it writes when it writes. This is really lovely. As you can see, as soon as it starts writing, very rich, but then you write maybe one page and then the ink flow is not perfect. Not quite sure how to solve this problem so far. I've been doing what you just saw, where I just open the back, screw it down a little bit to give pressure from the ink compartment. I've also taken out this beautiful new Lamy. I think they're called Lamy 2000, I want to say. It's kind of cool because this is actually open, and only when you put the ink in there is this closed with whatever's inside of the back. I believe, as far as I remember, that I have purchased this in Germany at when a store was closing with a little discount, one of those little paper and pen stores. Smooth, love the broad nib. Yeah. And then I have decided that I must always have inked up one of the beautiful, very special pens that my husband gifted to me. And the first one I picked is this Visconti Van Gogh. As far as I know, there's different editions of this pen. And I do still have the box, but I have not gotten that out. I have kept the boxes for all the pens that he gifted me. And yep, which would have probably more information about the pen. Okay, and it's a twist and pull, same thing to close. Not a screw-on cap, but just click and twist. I mean, push, turn, just a tiny bit. Does that make sense? So, beautiful gold nib. Okay. Well, one should be able to spell. I am sorry, I'm wiggling the camera. So as I think I told you, we are planning to go on a little trip, and I have to decide which pens I bring, and actually right now I'm tempted to bring all of them because whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's not that they take up a lot of space and they are really heavy, but I was thinking about keeping two in here, which is my little son leaves a pen thing, but it only holds 2 pens. Let's grab these two. And yes, that's definitely not gonna work. I also have my traveler's journal, which you will see in the other in the video that's going to be coming up, where I can keep one pen, but I think I'm going to keep all of them in an extra little pen pouch, which I will have to decide on. Okay, that's the fountain pen section with what I have inked up right now, and I will see you again in a second.
After this, there will be a video about all my journals. However, there was one that I could not show you because I had just glued the cover on it. I mean, some paper on the cover, so I had it under a heavy weight so it wouldn't bend too much until it's dry. And this is some German paper, as you can tell, that people used to use before they had plastic bags to put fruit and veggies in at the stores. On the back, I've put some 70s paper from an old knitting magazine. I have a small collection of those. When I find them at a thrift store, I usually take them home if they're affordable, which they usually are, because nobody cares for those. Yep. So these are the notebooks that I'm going to bring. And this one also, by the way, is an A5 book. I love graph paper. And these notebooks were used in elementary school in Germany. I am not sure if the kids in Germany still use those, but it's so cool because we used to write with fountain pens. So all of these little notebooks have blotting paper. How cool is that? The graph paper ones, I believe, were for math class, and the lined ones for everything else. So as you can see, my notebooks are not in my journal covers yet. I have 2 covers, but like I said, there is after this, you will see all of my notebooks and my covers in detail in a how can I say that? In a video that shows them to you a little bit better, because it has a desk view. I hope you're all going to enjoy this. I hope this is the beginning of something fun to add to my channel. And I enjoy it very much, and I hope you will as well. And I will stay tuned for the notebook section of this video, but I'm gonna say goodbye to you right now. Until next time, bye.
I wanted to talk about the traveler's notebooks that I own. One of them is one that I purchased a good while ago, and the other one is one that I just have ordered. Both of them I received from Etsy, and both of them are in the A5 size. This is the one that I purchased a good while ago, maybe a year or longer, from Sunleaves, and yep, crazy me, they are in Russia, and for some reason I could not find anything that I liked in a very bright orange in the US, and so I thought, whatever, I'm just gonna do it. What I liked about it was that you can pick the color for the rubber band, and the orange color was super important for me. This is how it looks on the inside, just raw leather. This is where I kept all my notebooks until now, which was a little bit kind of complicated because when we traveled, I actually had to take out the books that I didn't want to take on the trip. Like, I only wanted to take the actual really traveler's journal, as well as my knitting notebook, and everything else had to come out, which, as you can imagine, not very practical. So I decided I will get another cover that holds what I carry around all the time, maybe eventually also a calendar, which I don't have in the right size yet, but my traveling journal, my knitting notebook, and possibly a personal journal, which I haven't started yet. I have brought this one here, of course, because I wanted to show you. What they give you is the option of what color rubber band and stitching. I think the alternative was just white, and the company is called Bassi & Co. They're in America, and I wanted also something that can hold stuff that I wanted to keep from the trip, like stickers, receipts, brochures, whatever, or where I can keep my little address book, the travel one. And of course this one has what's the word? Is that a pen sleeve? Yes, I think so. Yep, so that is for, yeah, that's pretty neat. I really like it. I just received this. So now you're going to want to know, what is she putting inside? And I didn't do that yet because I thought that way I can better show you my system of notebooks. Okay, so this book is the first traveling journal that I used in this size, and for the cover, where I made the cover myself with some scrapbooking paper that I pasted on, I think with Mod Podge, and I did that over an elementary school notebook. A5 is what I use, and there's a bunch of graph paper and lined paper elementary booklets in A5 size, and I just love them, and I have some vintage ones, and I'm excited about using them with the journals now. So here I just used a scrapbooking paper where I cut out the New Mexico, of course, and I put some ink around it. I think I glued everything on with Mod Podge. I think I said that, and just filled up. So I put the date on, and it can go on the shelf, and that's the beauty about traveler's notebooks, as you probably know, because you can sort, you can take out and refill whatever you've filled without a book. Yeah, just the whole book being a whole mumbo jumbo of all kinds of things about your life. Especially for me, that works so much better. I made this notebook from an American legal size notepad with graph paper. I stitched along in the middle. I folded the sheets, I rounded the corners, stitched along the middle. And the important thing, if you do the stitching, you need to make your stitches as long as possible so you're not perforating your paper. I put some tape, washi tape here, used actually scrapbook paper yet again for the cover, and this is, as you can see, where I want to keep track of some jewelry purchases and fountain pen purchases. So I only started this really not too long ago, well, 2017, and because I purchased a vintage fountain pen back then, and I wanted to keep the receipt, and I thought, it should go into a book, so that was a good place for it. And also sometimes when we travel, we get some local Indian jewelry where I like to remember where I got it. So that's that notebook. I just started this one, and I also just decorated it. It's also an A5 school notebook from Germany, vintage. That's the way they looked like. They had the label where you can write the name on and the subject on the outside, and on the inside you could have different kinds of papers. And in Germany, the kids have to learn to write with fountain pen in elementary school, believe it or not. And this is a blotting paper that usually came with these notebooks. You can see that this is an older one because it's still sewn and not what's the word? Oh, you're screaming it at me. I know you are. But you know what I'm talking about. So I just started this because I wanted to keep track of what I'm sending to my daughter, to kind of like sometimes ask her, hey, I sent you 3 packages. Did you get them? Which one did you get? Blah, blah, blah. So, and also maybe if I write a letter to a friend, because I love doing that, or let's say I used to do this a lot and I want to revive that, and so I want to keep track just a little bit. And did this. This was some watercolor drawing that one of my kids did, and I added the watercolor. Just, yeah, wanted to put that on the first page. Sorry, that's the printer going off. This book needs to be redone from the outside because this was completely not, oh, and on the inside too, because I started this as a book where I keep track of which albums I have made, digital albums, and then I realized all of a sudden I should put on one side the vacations and on the other side I should keep track of the album that I've made and maybe when I've made it. Initially, I started off making it only for the albums. Stupid. And now also I made a cover. I stitched along the spine and used this paper. I cut it up, some scrapbooking paper yet again, put the photo on, one of my favorite New Mexico shots. Made a stupid label because it should be trips and albums. That's fine, not listed. And oh gosh, I don't know, I'm embarrassed. So I will definitely redo this. Too bad I've wasted the photo, but whatever, it is what it is. I'm going to rewrite this whole notebook, and I'm also going to show you why. This is how the pages look like. It was meant for a very young writer, and on this edge, that's where the teacher's corrections would go. So the disadvantage for me right now would also be that I don't have a lot of writing space. It would be fine if the lines were a little tighter together, but also I love graph paper, so I'm probably going to find a completely new graph paper notebook and redesign the cover. Don't have a stupid label on it where I sound like a German that doesn't speak English, and start over. This is hopefully going to be very soon very much filled with notes. I want to use this to keep track of my pens and the inks that I am using and that I own, the inks that I own and the pens that I own. And I will write about the pens that I'm using in here when they are inked up, and I will gradually write about all the inks that I own. And the cool thing is that I already had a nice collection of fountain pen inks, and I have just received an order from Goulet Pens and put my beautiful sticker on here, of course. And now the new inks are gonna go in here, and I've come up with this. I punched an opening in here to be able to right away get to the inks section. Yeah, love it. So I did get that new order, haven't put those inks in, and hopefully I'm going to make a different video with that. This, my knitting notebook. I have decorated the cover, yet again, an A5 notebook, probably some kind of a German book. I can't tell anymore because I glued paper over the outside as well as the inside, and I did that also on the inside because I wanted to cover up the stitching here. This is just for decoration stitching. Here I used this as a stamp, as well as this, which was a gift from a friend of mine quite some years ago, and this is one of my favorite from one of my favorite scrapbooking paper sets. And this as well. Here I took the Zia information, and yeah, this is how I keep track of my knitting. And if you've been watching for a while, you may remember that I used a different book that was spiral bound and made from a beautiful, actually a real book. But now I am switching to this because it's so much more portable, and I can organize my notes better by knitting, traveling, personal, whatnot. And you will see the other ones. This is going to be the new book for our travels. An actual traveler's journal, which is a Leuchtturm. That's already put in for decoration because we're headed towards Yellowstone soon. This was a Leuchtturm 1917 Jot book. Graph. Yeah, love this paper. Can't wait to start this. I would love to decorate the outside of this book with a vintage map. And then over it, I want to put some travel stickers that we brought from various trips. And also here I have this really cool washi tape that I want to use. I'll have it sitting here, but I want to see if maybe I can go to an antique store and find some real nice old maps. Yep, not done and not started. This has to happen soon. Here is again this is my address book mainly for my knitting friends, and I cut these myself. These, how can you say that? The openings for the different sections and the different letters, and I typed the letters on an old typewriter that I found at a thrift store, and then I taped them on and with tape to make it a little more resisting to a lot of use, hopefully. I think this was a moleskin booklet, and in the end, at the end I sewed an insert from a binder, clear paper cover from a binder, and sewed that for business cards and stamps, as I see here. So I can't show you the first page, sorry, but this one is one of the very few lined ones. Don't use much lines. I'm a graph paper girl. So this is the book that I started a good while ago for my book club, as you can see, and where I keep track, not always regularly enough, of the books I read or the audio books I listen to. And again, the cover is decorated by me, stamps here and hand-drawn lines. I can't recall what I did here. If I printed that out in green and decorated the outline with green as well, I just don't remember. I don't know why I put an apple sticker on here. This again was an elementary school notebook, and in here, oh my gosh, you could do the like a date and the signature of the parents, maybe. Sorry, printer. Graph paper was usually used for math. Yeah, and yet again the outside area blank for teachers' corrections. As you can see, I did the same thing. I punched an opening here through a few pages, so I can well divide different sections from each other, which I like. Yeah. And we have come to the end. Let me reach here and look. I do have some more books that were, I was surprised to find that this one is an A5. I got this at, I believe, Marshall's or similar place. And I just got this one also in my order from Goulet Pens. I'm excited about this already because you touch it and it's extremely smooth. And here is another school notebook with large graph paper. This one, it says premium on it, and it was a more pricey notebook. Goodbye.